Hey, this is Brian. Just going to do a little video here of some work I've been doing on my property. It's early July right now. This winter, right behind me here, you can see this road goes up through the woods. It's an old skid road from where we logged it 3 years ago. It leads down to what is right here behind me, not the truck, but most of this right here is bigger red oak. Red oak that typically in the early season, let me get my hand out of the way. Typically in the early season are pretty favored by the deer. There's some white oak as well. Back to the east of me, behind me here, is pretty good bedding, and straight to the west of me is pretty good bedding. And then this area here, when we cut the timber, I pretty well left it alone just to kind of create an open parky type area around all these red oaks for two reasons. One, when you hunt it, if they're in here feeding, you can see. Number two, it's just a place that deer shouldn't bed because it's open. They do occasionally bed right down over the hill here, but it's not very often. I do hunt this spot on a pretty regular basis in the rut just because I'm between the two bedding areas, and you can catch deer traveling through here. So I'll hunt it on a north wind down here. Matter of fact, I usually hunt that tree right there out of my climber and catch deer traveling east and west through here from bedding area to bedding area. With a north wind, I hunt here. I'm on the south edge, kind of towards the bottom of the hill. With a south wind, I usually hunt more up towards the field, catching them do the same thing, using the downwind side, going bedding area to bedding area. So hunting in this tree one day last year, I decided that skid road looked really green going up through there. So I decided I'd try to make something out of it for early season. So I took my blade on my tractor, leveled it all up, pushed the debris out, disked it up, planted some clover. The clover's doing fair. Down in here it's not doing really good, but on up into there it's growing. It's not super, but I just planted it this spring, so next year it should be much better. And then with these red oaks, if we get a good acorn crop, which the ones out on the lane coming in and out look like there's quite a few acorns, so I'm hoping these do as well. My goal is to, in that tree right there, to hang a stand. And then I cut a trail that goes down into that creek bottom and east about probably 400 yards and then back north. I've cut all the limbs and debris out of it. I just gotta wait. In about a month in August, I'm gonna come in with a weed eater and weed eat it down pretty short and make a nice, quiet, easy path in and out. That path is far enough south of that east bedding that in the early season with the foliage on, I should be able to get in and out without deer even seeing me, as long as I can do it without them hearing me. And with a north wind, they shouldn't smell me. So my goal is a early season, fresh after a cold front with a northwest wind, to be able to come in around into this tree. I got deer bedded east of me, I got deer bedded west of me. Come in here and feed. On the acorns, make their way up this trail out through the clover to the main field and the main food plot. I also have installed, which I'm filling today is why the truck is here, just a little kiddie pool I bought at Walmart, $9. Dug a hole, buried it, filled it full of water. Got a piece of wood in there for the critters to get out. I come in today and that wood wasn't in there. I hadn't put it in yet. There was a little dab of water. This is the first time I filled it. And there was a box turtle in there, so I had to get him out. So put the chunk of wood in there, so if a turtle, mouse, a chipmunk, something falls in there, they can at least get onto something and crawl their way out. So that's kind of my plan for an early season hunting spot here. I'll keep you guys posted on how it works. I got high hopes. I just put a camera right there on that white oak tree, pointing straight at the water hole, just to get an idea if anything is going to use it. We've had enough rain here lately that I don't think water's scarce, but if we would happen to get a dry September, this watering hole could be a pretty good spot for deer to come, get a drink, eat a few acorns, mosey their way out towards the main food plots, and the ag field, which the ag field is standing corn right now, so it'll be pretty good, I think. The other reason I put the trail in too is for getting out of here. Deer can come here, feed, go to the food plot, the ag field, and I can get out of here going that way and not disturb them, not bump deer getting in and out of here. So access is pretty key in this point. We'll find out how well it works. I think it'll work pretty good, but I'll keep you posted. Have a good day. All right, here we are at the other end of that skid road. We just looked at where the water tank and the red oaks were. That skid road goes in right there. It's about, from here to the water tanks is about 100 yards. Not too far from the woods, but it's deep enough in there that deer are back in the woods eating acorns, feeling pretty secure. This is what the crop field looks like. It's standing corn. There's about 6 acres, 7 acres right here of corn. On the other side, you can see that clump of trees right over there. There's an island of trees that the corn wraps around, and more food plots on the other side. My hut is in that island. I'll show you that here in a bit. This food plot here, most of my food plots I plant for wintertime food. Brassicas, radishes, stuff like that. Seems to be pretty good. I want the deer. I'm not too worried about early season food because they got all the crop field and corn and everything. We'll leave about 1.5 acres of corn when we shell the corn. That'll give them something to eat. This road also goes up. There's just a clover strip up along the edge of that fence row. There's, on the other side of this fence row here, is more ag field. I do have a stand right there, just to catch deer coming out here with a southerly wind. More of an early season type thing. It's not good in the rut. In the rut, for whatever reason, the deer tend to stay in the woods. They don't really frequent these fields, but it's not a, there's a deer right there. I don't know how well you can see it. I can't get it to blow up, but back there's a deer just walked out in the, never mind. By the time I got switched around, the deer's walked out of the, where you can't see it. But so yeah, this runway here, coming out of the woods, I'm hoping that the deer feed on the acorns. They walk up this little clover road here, leading to more clover, to corn, to, I'll probably have radishes in here. Radishes tend to be pretty good early as well. And then I can get out of there a long way around, 400 or 500 yards out and around. Shouldn't bother the deer at all feeding here. I do have a bit of a deer problem. I'll show you here in a bit where they've hammered the corn pretty good. So this year we're going to try to pull some deer out of here. I've got a really good buck to doe ratio. There's about, the last 2 years I've kept track, and we got about 1.5 does per buck. Adult does. So when I hunt, I count antlered bucks and adult does. And if I see 10 deer total, 6 of them will be adult does, or 5 and 5, 6 and 4. So it's about a 1 to 1.5 ratio, which is pretty good. So I do have too many deer. We're going to try to thin them out a little bit this year. So my goal is to kill 10 deer total, 4 of which are bucks. So we got some management to do. We got a couple older bucks that are kind of turds, and we're going to try to thin some of them out. I got a few people that I'm going to bring that are first-time hunters, so they've kind of got an open door policy. If I got a really good 3-year-old, we may hold off on them just to let them try to make it to 4. But we'll see what happens. I'll show you some more here in a minute. All right, we're around on the back side of that cornfield where the hut is. You can see it here. Got food plot here. That'll be brassicas, radishes. You can see that post I put. It's just about a 6-inch creosoted post, old telephone pole, and I put it in to just, I'll use that as my licking branch station. So I figured, I was cutting beech trees off and digging a post hole and burying them, and you do that every year, it's a pain in the butt. So I thought, you know, if I put a wooden post, drill some holes where I can poke the limbs in, or just screw them to it, or whatever I need to do, and maybe it will be an easier way to get licking branches out here. That post is 22 yards from the blind, offers an easy shot, if they come and check it out. There's about an acre of clover right here. So most of the food, as I mentioned, I gear towards winter food just to keep the deer healthy. We'll leave a couple acres of corn this year. We'll have about 4 acres of brassicas, 2 acres of clover. So altogether there'll be about 8 acres of food. Last year we had 8 acres of food. It got pretty cold, and by January 10th it was all gone. We had about 50-60 deer a night. All the neighbors' deer were here. They just piled in here and ate it all up. So I just planted yesterday, you can see going that way, the plant marks there. I drilled in some Egyptian wheat sorghum mix for a screen. Getting out of this box blind has been trouble in the past. Of an evening, we'll hunt it early because the deer really like this clover. And my daughter, she's 13 now. She's been hunting a couple years. She likes hunting early when it's not so cold. And we'll sit in this box, and it's comfortable for her. She can read a book if she wants. She's got a little movement. It's a great place to take kids, so that's why we build it. But I planted this Egyptian wheat screen hoping that it goes here and back and around and up, that if we get it tall enough, 4, 5, 6 foot tall. I planted it late so it would stay green into season longer. Last year I planted it early, and it was brown and the leaves were starting to drop and fall down against the stalk, so it thinned it up quite a bit. So I planted it a little later this year, hoping that it'll stay green, thick, so we can get down out of the hut and sneak right through there and out to the corn and get out of here without deer that are hopefully feeding right there without them knowing we're doing it. So if we wait till it's plenty dark, my path is pretty clear. We can get out of there quietly and go, and hopefully not spook deer. So we'll see. Hopefully the screen comes in good. This is the first time I'm trying to plant a screen here. We'll see what happens. As long as we can get a little rain to get it up, it should work. So I'll show you some more here in a minute. Alright, another thing I think is pretty important for deer, and it's a good way to get a good inventory through the summer as to what you got, is a mineral site. So I'm a good 250 yards from the nearest place that I hunt to this. In Indiana, we can put it out, mineral, and food to feed the deer. We cannot hunt over or near it. My mineral, I chose an old stump back in the woods on this ridge that's just, it's kind of getting in on the verge of the bedding areas. So it's secluded. It's an area I don't go. I don't hunt near it, just mainly because of the bait reason. There are some red oaks here, so it's just it's a good place to just kind of, it's part of my sanctuary really. So, but this is the old stump. I've been putting mineral on it for a couple years now, and you can see it's beaten down all around it. They use it pretty heavy. It's a great place for inventory this time of year. And you know, if you get a buck that frequents it once a week or every other day or something like that, it's pretty cool to watch them grow and see how much they change. And as they start growing, I run a camera on it all summer. As they start growing, you know, first you're wondering who they are, and then as they get a little more shape to them and you start to recognize what they are, then you realize who they are and what they're doing, and it's pretty cool in my mind. So mineral's a good idea if it's legal in your state. I recommend it. It's good for the bucks, gives them some nutrition and some mineral they need to build horns. It's great for the does too that are lactating, to help give a better quality milk for the fawns. And if you have healthy does, healthy fawns, healthy bucks, you have a healthy herd. That's why I concentrate so much on wintertime food, and then I do the mineral supplement through the summer, and try to keep them as healthy as I can. Okay. Alright, here we are at the last stop of the farm today. So we're back in kind of the west end of my north field. There's the field. You can see what the deer have done to the corn. My initial intent was to leave 48 rows of corn here, which would give him, if he left me 16 rows, and then he could pick 32, and that'd give him room to turn around, but that leaves me 16 rows. And that would leave food and cover, screen, get it in. Another 8 rows going that way would leave me screen, getting in and out, and food. And the deer have pretty well chewed it all off, as you can see. So I came in yesterday, planted Egyptian wheat screen around it, Egyptian wheat and sorghum screen. I got this platform right here that I put a ground blind on top of. That screen gets up, it makes it where you can get in and out. Last year we had that same blind set up. This was radishes here. It'll be radishes and probably rape and stuff again this year, more brassica type stuff, but the radishes are a good early season draw. And my daughter and I, we got into this blind pretty much sitting right here where it's at, with 2 deer feeding right there, 25-30 yards. We come down through the beans behind the screen, got to the blind, got up and in it. The deer were right there feeding, didn't even know we were here. So it turns to clover right over here. You can see I had a little extra water in my tank, so I just sprayed it out here on the ground to use it. So just dumping it out, so to kind of help that Egyptian wheat get going. There was some moisture in the ground yesterday, down where we did this strip through here. So hopefully it'll get up and get going. Maybe we can get a small rain. I do have also right over there in the shadows is a watering hole. I don't know if you can see in their corner there, there's a post with a camera on it. It's a wireless camera. This is probably the most intrusive spot for me to get into to check cameras, so I got the cellular camera there. I pretty much just leave it till the batteries go dead, and then I come and change the batteries when the wind's right. So this is hopefully going to be a good early season spot. We're going to put radishes in here again. Of course, we'll have the clover. Southwest wind is the only downside, is what it takes to hunt it. So if you get a good front and the cold weather, it's hard to hunt because the wind's blowing kind of the wrong way. So a west-southwest is perfect. It gets a little swirly back in here when it starts to slack off of an evening, but I found last year that if I ran a ozonics in the blind, I don't know if you can see, that's just deck boards on top, and the ozone's heavier in air, so it leaks out through the bottom, and we keep the windows open so it doesn't get above our head, so the ozone's not an issue. And last year with the wind blowing that direction, I had deer literally 30 yards straight downwind of us, fed all the way across behind us, so I know they walked through our wind, never even picked their head up like they knew we were here. So the ozone in the blind, definitely a good idea. So I'll keep you guys posted as things go. We're gonna wait a couple weeks and spray this to kill it off. I mowed it the other day just because it was getting overtaken with weeds. The beans weren't doing very good, so I just mowed them all off. We're gonna come in and spray it to kill the weeds back. About August 10th, 15th, I'm gonna come in and plant my radishes and brassicas and have us some food ready to go for season. So catch you on the flip side.